Just wanted to make a quick video about Alliance War and the new hybrid teams. Now, I want to say that the information in this video is changing rapidly as more and more characters are being added to the game. And what's happened is that typically you need at least 10 teams for offense and then 8 teams for defense. So that's a total of 90 characters. And so there's a lot more than 90 characters in the game. And so there's been some consolidations of some teams and made into what we're calling hybrid teams. Now, this information is going to be changing rapidly because as more characters add to the game, it means that the compositions of teams inside of Alliance War is going to be changing. And I want to say, my experience in Alliance War might be different than yours. The alliance that I play in right now, we pretty much have wars where it's full clear versus full clear. And so I'm just trying to build teams that aren't necessarily going to win, but that they're going to suck up one of my opponent's better teams so that they might get tripped up later. And that's just kind of the goal. And for me also, what this has also led to is a situation where for the longest time, I was solely focused on my offense. And I needed about 9-10 really good offensive teams, know what teams they can counter. And my primary focus was just that. And defense didn't matter. I just focused on offense. And I'm going to show that first because I really haven't implemented hybrids into those yet. I might because I think there's some opportunities with Hela. And the purpose of this video too is just to give you some ideas because a lot of your hybrid teams might vary based on your red star levels and characters that you have developed out. Okay, first things first, let's just take a look at kind of the standard issue offensive teams. I haven't really implemented hybrids into these. But you're going to need at least 9 or 10, 10 offensive teams. And there's a couple in here we're going to talk about that are kind of new. We got right here, we've got Black Order, Symbiotes, fine. I think this is kind of standard issue. X-Force, this team, okay, keep in mind, this is my Blitz save squad, so it's a little different. I'm switching over to use Beast with Phoenix on X-Men, Brotherhood 2.0, Supernatural. I think there's an opportunity in here later. We're gonna maybe possibly talk about this later in the video about removing Elsa and putting Hela here. Just an idea. Hybrid teams, right? Because what is Hela doing on defense anyways nowadays? Symbiotes just run over them, right? Then we go down further. We've got Fantastic Four. Sometimes this slot right here gets changed out a lot. Sometimes that's Ultron. Sometimes that's Namor. It just depends, right? And then down here, we've got Power Armor. And then this team I'm a real fan of right now. I don't use it like this. In fact, I put somebody else right here. I put Red Skull. And then my highest red star, Hydra. And this team only works against mercenaries and Shield Coulson if my Grenadier has higher damage than Zemo. Keeping in mind, Red Skull gives the Grenadier an extra 15%. So I'm going to have to take him up to like gear tier 13 or 14 and an extra red star for this to actually work correctly against Mercenary and Shield Coulson. We're calling this Hydra 3.0. So that's not really the way it plays out. And then lastly, there's a team that I've been, that Philosopher's been using, which is Ultron, the Dad Bros. Whoop, whoop. Those two guys. And then Shuri and Namor does quite well against Marauders. Now, where I've implemented hybrids and a little bit more flexibility is on defense. And the purpose of this is to get the opponent to use more powerful teams to slightly trip them up. Not necessarily get a win, because at the level that I'm playing at, we typically don't. I don't typically get that many wins. Very rarely get wins. It's literally just slowing them down, getting them to waste their good teams, and maybe we'll get the wins later. If I can get 1 or 2 wins a war, that's a success. All right, so let's talk about the very first team over here all the way to the right. This is Nick Fury Coulson. Now, I put this team together with Inhumans mostly because I had high red stars on Coulson and Nick Fury, Black Bolt, and Yo-Yo. And the purpose of this team is to soak up one of my opponent's Black Order. It's a win. This team is a win if it takes out a Black Order. That's a Black Order that's not going to be used somewhere else against Marauders. And so I don't, if you're not first things first, I don't suggest this team if you're not full clearing, because you're taking Inhumans off of offense. And if you're an alliance where you're not consistently full clearing your opponents, my suggestion is just to throw Nick Fury's shield on defense and keep your Inhumans intact. The only time that I would recommend this team is when you are full clearing consistently and you want a slightly different defensive team. But if you're not getting full clears on offense, then I think it's better off to save Inhumans for offense, because there are some counters. Now, I will leave this team until I see my opponents punching up with some other team where they found an effective counter. But when they are taking, and I just want to show a screenshot from my last war, but if they are doing right here where it takes out a Black Order, that is a win. That's a win when this team soaks up a Black Order. That's the whole purpose of this team right here, is to soak up a Black Order. Now, Marauders. Let's talk about hybrid teams and Marauders. All I want for Marauders is for them to soak up a Black Order as well. And that typically happens, that I do get them to go up against a Black Order. Now, if there were some other team that was countering this team, and you know, do I want to do something more? And how would I change this team? But typically, this team right here does get a Black Order as a counter, and that's a win in my book when that happens, right? So, but if I wanted to switch things up, I think there's a lot of opportunity here in the Sabretooth slot to remove Sabretooth. And I've seen several hybrid teams where they're putting different characters in that Sabretooth spot. Ghost, I've seen Ghost there, I've seen Maneuver there, and lastly, probably the team that is out there to beat is going to be Doom. I've seen Doom in that spot of Sabretooth. Now, we've encountered at Doom once, and the way that we were able to beat it, and it actually took us 4 attacks. But the right way for us to go against it in the current meta, I'm sure we'll figure out something new in the future, was to send a team into sack. And so that Doom uses all of his ultimates and explodes, and then he has very long cooldowns, and then a Black Order cleans up. So it was a 2-tap team. Next, let's talk about Asgardians. Now, Asgardians are kind of a mess right now, and what I mean by that is that symbiotes are a counter for them, and they just get countered by symbiotes. So for me, I don't even care what happens with this team. If it takes out a symbiote, it's a win in my book. And there's a lot of things that people are doing, and I'm finding that whether or not Thor is there or not doesn't matter. Symbiotes still walk over. It's like an auto win for symbiotes. So I feel that Thor is better placed on Wave 1 Avengers, and I'm putting Drax there. You could put Drax there, or you could put, for a while I was using Captain Marvel. The idea with putting Captain Marvel on this team is that sometimes Loki targets Anti-Venom, and then Captain Marvel also targets Anti-Venom, and you might get a win against symbiotes. Now, I've ran that team, Captain Marvel, in this place of Drax for many months, and it never happened. They never won. They just auto lose against symbiotes. And Drax probably is the same situation. Now, I do want to say that some people are abandoning this team altogether, and they're building like super Hydribs where they're actually pulling Hela and Loki and putting them on offense because they don't win on defense. And for me, the whole idea of this team right here with Drax is just to soak up a symbiote team. Maybe they don't win. Maybe, but it doesn't really happen. But pretty much just like what I saw here is that they soak up a symbiote team, and that is quite fine. So this is a team that this team right here will change. Like, I know that I'm going to play around with this team going forward with the Drax. But I think I think that Thor is better used inside of the Wave 1 Avengers. And Wave 1 Avengers is pretty standard. Now, a lot of people have used different things here. I've seen Captain Marvel in this slot. I've seen a lot of different characters in this slot. And for me, this is the most difficult. Thor gets way more value in this team than he does currently in the Asgardians. So I think this is the best team. Now, Ghost. Okay, so what are we doing right here? This team right here, when it had vision, just didn't win. No, it never won. And Ghost is kind of that floater character. And all I'm trying to do with Ghost is just to soak up another team. Maybe I'll get a win somewhere else with that. And I was pretty happy with this team in the last war because my opponent was like, what do I do with this? And it soaked up basically a Ultron Inhumans team. Hey, man, I'll take that all day long. That's a win. That's almost like 2 teams that I sucked up right there because they were like, oh, what do I do now? Ghost is, I was like, do I put Ghost up here? The reason why I didn't put Ghost up here with Marauders is because this team right here is probably going to get taken over by a Black Order no matter what. And so putting Ghost here probably doesn't change that matchup. But this matchup right here, the team that, like, I've actually personally gone up against a team with Ghost, with like a Brotherhood 2.0, and Ghost wiped out my Brotherhood 2.0. And it was in this other sleeper team, if you will. And if for the idea is if someone just goes in with tries to punch up with a Brotherhood 2.0, like a 475K Brotherhood 2.0, they might lose. Or they overcommit. Fine. That was the whole idea there. And then lastly, there's a bunch of different variations of this team. And what I was doing here with Red Guardian is I removed Shuri because I wanted to use Shuri on that team that uses Ultron, Dad Bros, Namor, and Shuri, which actually I've seen screenshots of it actually taking out Marauders. This just mixes things up. There's some synergy with Red Guardian and Killmonger, and it just kind of mixes up the team. This is this particular team is I'm the least impressed with so far. I'm not really sure I want to keep this. I might switch this up. I might put Shuri back in here. Shuri might be a better play. In my last war, this really didn't do much. Basically, it got ran over by Hydra 3.0, which is fine. You know, that's kind of what I think this Hydra 3.0 is going to be used for. Even on my offense, it's going to be used mostly for mercenaries. And then lastly, this is just a filler team. Captain Marvel's Captain Marvel, and why not I'm not using this team anywhere else, and it was just the strongest power level. Again, and then Doc Ock and Sinister Six is fine. Again, this is a very, very conservative approach to hybrid teams. There are definitely more wacky versions, but I do believe you lose some of the synergy when you start getting more exotic. And I don't know if that's good or bad other than throwing off your opponent a little bit. So my approach here was, might be only a good suggestions for this month. Maybe next month, because of all the new characters come out, could be completely different. It's also roster dependent on your red stars and what your power levels. And again, lastly, I just want to wrap up by saying is please focus on offense way more than defense, even though I'm showing defensive teams here. Offense. I mean, don't be creating these crazy, wacky, hybrid defensive teams if you're not full clearing on offense, man. Get your offense taken care of and upgraded and nearly perfect to get 9-10 wins a war, get so that you're getting full clears. Then you can start focusing on your defense. Let me know if you have any other hybrid teams that you're liking using in the comment section. And as always, thanks for watching and keep on gaming. Bye for now.